Hello, welcome back, everyone. Everyone who's on, anyway. Hey, Revenant, you're first again. You get to be the trophy holder. Yeah, welcome back, everyone. Took a little hiatus last week, just schedule kind of mucked itself up. So we're back again, and with an emulated Amiga, because why not? Amiga purists look away. I do have many Amigas, but I also enjoy emulating, so that's what we're going to do tonight. So hope everyone had a good week and did some fun retro stuff. And like many times myself, I just bounce between different topics and things, and very random, as it were. And I just been kind of like, you get into a rabbit hole, right? Start Googling stuff and like, looking into things. And all of a sudden you're just like spending way more time than you thought just researching individual topics. So as you can probably figure out, I got on the topic of emulated Amigas. And while I have several actual hardware Amigas, there's something tantalizing about running on a, modern-ish PC because you can run it so much faster. So that's what we're going to do tonight and see how we're going to pull that off. But yeah, welcome back, everyone. The machine or topic at hand is a mini PC. I'll show you in a second here, just a leftover machine. But, if you're going to do this, anything will do, basically. Probably the most common one is to use a Pi of some kind, especially the Pi 400 or 500 that looks like a mini keyboard, or looks like an original Amiga, right? It's a kind of all-in-one keyboard computer. Their inspiration taken from the wedge computers of the 80s and 90s. So but I'm sure many of you have dabbled with, I'll probably say a fair chance that pretty much everyone dabbled with emulation of some kind. And you may have all messed with, your emulation stations, your RetroPies, or individual emulators. There's like endless amount of things you can emulate and do, right? You can just install UAE on your modern PC or Mac and just run, a full-blown Amiga in there in the emulation, and it's really good. However, there's something interesting about having a dedicated machine for that. If you have extra machines, like many of us do, and especially mini PCs, are an interesting proposition for this. The idea that we're going to do tonight is to take a kind of bog standard mini PC. It's a B-Link, whatever, buy them for a couple $100 at most, in a million different configurations. Super basic machine, but it can emulate an Amiga blisteringly fast, anything faster than, or way faster than anything you would have seen on actual hardware back in the even 90s or later, with accelerators and everything. Of course, there is the topic of it's an emulated Amiga. It is a faked machine. It is not a real one. And although I'm sure it gets pretty close to, accurate per se, it's not going to be as accurate as a real machine. There are concessions to be made, but for just general enjoyment, awesome. I think that's going to get you 99% of the way there if you're just looking to play the games and enjoy the system for what it is. I'm a big fan of emulation. It's not quite the same as real hardware, because you don't get that tactile feel and the experience of running or trying to keep original hardware alive. So, but the thing we're going to work on tonight is, I'll switch over to Action Cam, see if it wants to cooperate. So this is a generic little B-Link mini PC sitting here. Extremely basic, and we'll go to the specs in a second here. And I have it captured right now over HDMI and everything too. The goal tonight is to basically get Diet Pi on here, which is a very bare bone Debian Linux distribution that's intended to run on Raspberry Pis, but there's an x86 version as well. We're trying to get it as bare metal as possible, which is to say we're going to use as little extra OS layers on top of it as possible. Because when you run something like this on a Windows PC, plus emulation, plus all the stuff, you have additional layers, right? You're pretty far removed from the actual hardware. So we're going to try and stick to get closer to actual hardware tonight. And we get right to the specs right now, Revenant. So we have a Ryzen, whatever you want to say, 5600H. So it is just a super generic, cheapo, basic machine. There's literally nothing special about it. So, and right now we have Windows 11 installed because that's what it came with. We're going to blow it away. So, Radeon graphics, 3.3 gigahertz, 16 gig of RAM, integrated video and everything. So it is extremely basic. Nothing fancy at all. And it served our purpose as a utility machine. We don't really need it anymore. I can always reload it back. It has no data on it, really. We used it a little bit for just utility machine, used it for Moonlight streaming for a bit, and then used it for some music production. I just never really found a use case for it properly. So we're going to reload it tonight with Linux, because that's what you got to do, apparently. That's the name of the game, is Linux for all these things. And then we're going to try and install Amiberry on top of that. And I'm a bit of a noob when it comes to this level of bare metal emulation, so where it's going to be an exploration. And then if we do get to that point, we will install Amiga Vision on it just to get it basically to a usable state. So we'll have a full-blown Amiga. The idea or the goal is that when this power this on, I want it to boot into the OS as quickly as possible with as few frills as possible and right into the native Amiga solution. So I want it to be presented or appear like a native Amiga machine, whatever you want to call it. So the idea being is to make it like, well, yeah, like a real machine, which it is not, but something that's turnkey. And it's not. There are other solutions as well. Pymiga is another one that's very popular, and we'll probably dabble with that one at some point too, which would be a perfect fit for this. Pymiga is a full distribution with like everything you can imagine with modern convenience and software and tools in one huge bundle. It's like 60 gig. So it's much bigger than the more native, closer to 90s software packages. But it is one that's very complete and one that's very useful to use, for example, on something as powerful as this. But I want to try this. There's really no harm in doing it. And if we aren't happy with it, we can blow it away and try that approach as well. Probably not tonight, but I want to get this ready to use as a basic as possible bare metal Amiga emulator machine. And that's the thing too, with performance when it comes to that, right? This is not a gaming PC, right? But if you look at emulating stuff, this is more than enough powerful because it's way more powerful than most Pi solutions and everything, and has enough grunt and horsepower to do a lot of those kind of things. So you can do pretty heavy duty emulation on a machine like this. And there's a benefit of that too, having a mini PC like this that's kind of like a game console emulator with a front end, game station or something on it. I will say from personal experience, when you set up machines like that, you spend hours and days loading them up, and then they gather dust. So I have a higher track record of using the Mister than this. And looking at alternative solutions, right? The Mister is a great Amiga solution if you use the mini Mega Core on the Amiga, or on the Mister. And that's another top for another day, too. And I want to caveat all this that there's a million ways to do this. There's a million devices to run this on. This is just what we're going to try tonight. Feel free to pipe up if you know of other solutions that you use and enjoy for emulating not even Amiga, but other classic computers, whatever. There's so many solutions these days, and we're spoiled for choice, right? If you want to play or experience an old system from the 80s or 90s or even newer, I mean, heck, GameCube, they've got Dreamcast emulation, all that stuff, right? There's so many options now. You can do it on your phone. It's more powerful than any of these machines ever were. So you can very easily emulate it on your phone if you want to, on the web browser. But there's something about having a PC ready to go for this purpose. And what I'm going to do is actually use a HDMI to VGA adapter. And what I'm going to do then is plug it into a ECCRT. So I will get that Amiga experience on that level, boot it up, have it bare bones, and make it feel like a ridiculously powerful Amiga. So that's the goal I have in mind with this machine. I can use it as a bridge machine too, since it's a modern computer with USB and all that good stuff, and it's going to run Linux underneath. We get more flexibility that way. So either way, we have our little Diet Pi OS load here on this USB stick. So we're going to put that in and see if we can get this rolling. We'll have to reboot it. I'm not sure if it's going to show anything on here. It doesn't really matter. We're going to boot into it anyway. So yeah, it's not formatted because it is a Linux formatted USB stick. So we're going to reboot, and then we're going to see if I don't care about updating because we're going to blow this whole thing away. So really, we truly are in the age of Windows, and you know what? I'm done with it. We're just going to hold the power button. I'm not going to conform. This machine will not be running Windows much longer, so I'm just going to hard power it off and power it back on. And then we'll see what OS it boosts. I don't know what the startup key is for this, so we'll have to kind of wing it. I know delete is the BIOS, UFI. So we'll see what it boots into. We'll see what resolution it goes to now, too, because it's, might go to 1080. The X Edge videos, hello. Welcome. Doing some emulation tonight. Looking forward to seeing you again at VCF Midwest here soon, in a few months. See, does it boot to Windows? Yeah, it's doing Windows. Screw it. All right, we're going to do this. You know what? I'm not going to keep my computer on because I'm a rebel like that. Take that, Windows. We are going to go into the BIOS and just set the boot order because I honestly don't know. Maybe it was F12. I can't tell. It's so quick. Oh, I got some beeps now going. Oh. My KVM is intercepting it. So, like anything with this, you get stuck on almost silly things. And in this case here, we're getting stuck on just freaking the boot menu or getting into... Go away, Windows. No one likes you. I'm actually preparing to reload my main computer now as well to another OS because I'm honestly sick of Windows 11. I'm late to the party. Everyone else is probably, they're going to scoff and say like, wow, I can't believe you're still on... There we go. We can get in here at least. Running Windows 11 in this day and age. But yes, the time has finally come for me as well. So let's see. Boot option 1. Nope. I want USB to be the boot option 1. There we go. Now we should boot into the, Diet Pie installation. And we'll wait for my screen to show up here. There we go. So Diet Pie is, and anyone who knows more about this, feel free to chime in. It is a very stripped down Debian 12, I think, maybe something like that, Linux distribution. The idea being it is as slimline and basic as possible. Evening in, welcome. To be as low level of overhead as possible. So that's the goal here for those joining. Now the goal is to make it this emulation machine as bare metal as possible, and we're going to probably stumble on the way. I'm not familiar too much with Linux on S level to go this basic, but we are going to see what we can do to make this as slimline or cleaned up as possible. We'll see resolution now. It's going to be all wonky in the capture, but we'll survive through it. Yeah, the idea being this, we're going to load Diet Pie first. And after that, we're going to install Amiga. Choose the disk to be overwritten in the morning. All data on the entire disk will be lost. That is fine. Okay, have no keyboard input. I think that it doesn't like my KVM adapter thing. I have to go. Stand by. Sorry about that. I guess I didn't have my headphones on. I'm not sure why it decided to output really loud volume. I think that my KVM probably locked up. Sorry about that. Did not notice that. Plugging in a different USB keyboard so we can get through this here. Well, doesn't like that either, so still have to a good start, I would say. I think we have a hard frozen, so I think what happened is that my KVM, who actually passes the audio, also froze up, so... see, this is the thing, when you're doing this stuff, it's always the unexpected things that are causing a problem, so 1 second. There we go. Had to replug, so I have a USB. So to make this work with my KVM switch, I have a USB to a PS2 adapter. Evening Jabo, Jabio. How all of my live streams are super interesting. I'm just the most interesting streamer of all time. But anyway, yeah. So anyone who knows more about this than I do, feel free to chime in because I am just kind of going to flail and see what happens with this one. And like I mentioned earlier, and for those joining late, it's like I'm a big fan of emulation. You can do so many things with it between RetroPie, hardware emulation, all the stuff. We are spoiled for choice these days on the things you can do with emulation and different things. And this is just one out of many, many solutions that are available, right? And a lot of these things are adapted around the Raspberry Pi devices. And it's like doing it on an x86 machine is a little overkill because a lot of time you are not interested in maybe using a full machine. But I find that, honestly, it's a really useful way to repurpose old machines that aren't using anymore because many of us have extra machines laying around that are completely worthless now for modern use that may be, moderately useful for Linux purposes. But in this case here, we'll have a way more powerful machine than we normally would for emulation. And it gives us a lot of overhead. Now, if you think about it, you can install RetroPie on this or something similar and then have access to all the things. But that's not what the purpose is here. I want it to be narrow use scope. I have many of these emulation devices like the Mister alone. And I want to have something that's much more narrow in scope that's used for a quote-unquote bare metal and boot up right away. So that's fair, Revenant. You ever know. that's the thing is I find it interesting to do um, stuff like this or learning as you go and figure things out, as we've done before on these like live streams where we have figured out things like networking on a Mac on the fly. Right, I find that super fun to just figure out. Now, if you come to a solution, it's fun, but it can be really frustrating if you just dead in the water. So we'll see what it decides to do now besides a black screen. So I was thinking about it. I may have tried to boot right back into the unplug the that. Oh, I think it just might have turned off actually because it expects you to remove the USB stick. I'm gonna guess. So now in theory, there's no other OS on it except yep, there we go. So now it's gonna boot into Diet Pie. And that's where we're gonna get interesting because we're gonna have a very very basic operating system, and I'm going to mess with it a little bit and try and figure out how to just use it. But it is just basic Linux, right? So it's booting up and doing all the startup at the first time here now. So it's funny because anyone who knows Linux can probably read a whole bunch of the stuff. Look, yep, it's doing that, and I have honestly no clue. So I am a Linux. There we go. So root and diet pie. There we go. I have a network connected, so we have an Ethernet connection. So we'll see. I guess it's whatever time sync. I'm going to get in and set the resolution because I think it's set way too high right now because it is a um, let's see, it's going to 1080p or equivalent here, and I want it to be lower. So, okay, how long is it going to wait for time sync? Should have internet connection, so there we go, first try. And I'm sure it's updating now. It's like the first boot. And I find as a layman or coming into Linux this late in the game, it's a lot of like, things are a lot easier, it feels like. I tried to write on Red Hat 5.2 like in the 90s or whatever, and I thought like, oh, Linux, I'm going to use, all these cool stuff and, visual change. I mean, it was just a pain in the butt. I couldn't get it working, so I was just not skilled or interested enough to spend the time on it. So kind of backed off, dabbling Linux here and there. But then now, after getting a Steam Deck and doing SteamOS and Bazite and stuff, I'm getting more familiar or comfortable with it within reason. Of course, these are GUI-based operating systems for the ones I'm running. But I see all the benefit, right? So, uh, CPU said fatal error during GPU init. Sure, that's probably good. Okay, there we go. Now we get to set it up. So we're going to do English US. Okay. Please enter a new login for root and diet pie. Evening. This is Shell 813. That is true. Linux still has. I mean, I think that everyone gets a year of Linux, and again, it's come a long way. But um, okay. So which one is it for? There we go. A new software, a default installation password. Sure. All right. Let's see. Serial URL console is currently enabled. We'd like to disable it. No, that's fine. Doesn't really matter. So we're going to run config. I know that because we need to display options. So I want to change display resolution. No DRM has been found. Not letting me do that. No DRM device has been found. I guess it doesn't like the capture thing going on. Display driver, AMD. Or set to AMD. Now it's kind of winging it here a little bit too. I'm hoping to change resolution here because it is so tiny now on the screen here. You probably can't see anything, right? So that's why I like to change it so we can actually see what's going on. But maybe it can handle it better if once we get the AMD drivers installed. So, sure. Nope. There we go. So 1280. Can we go lower? Bootloader. Okay. Diet Pie display. It's not letting me do that. Let's see. Options. Nope. Really hard to see here now. But we're gonna, let's see. Unable to select any software selected for installation. Getting some packages now. We're gonna see if we can get Amiberry. That's what we're after, which is the emulation piece of this. Fine. Nintendo Branson. Okay, so we're back at the, okay, diet, pie, config. I was gonna see if we can't still, there's no way to force this, huh? This resolution is kind of like annoying. Diet, pie, display. Nope. Diet, pie, software. Install remove software. Install go starts for selected software. Browse software. There we go. Oh boy. This is very illegible, isn't it? If anyone has any ideas on how to force the resolution set on this, I'm all ears. Otherwise, I'll try and look it up quick. But boy, it is just. So this is desktops, media systems. And what desktop? BitTorrent. We want emulation. Gaming and emulation. Amiberry Lite. Optimus Amiga emulator for smaller arm risk. Amiberry. Optimized Amiga emulator for multiple platforms. Oops, I did not select that. Still learning. It's also very hard to see here, so. Now we're going to install that. Okay. Amiberry. Let me look up real quick. See, we can do. Okay. Configure DietPi auto start option. Well, we do. Well, we can just go. I was gonna, boy, that is just making it a little too easy. Now it's just gonna auto boot into Amiberry. I was thinking that's gonna take longer. Whatever, we're gonna be done in an hour. So, okay. So we're gonna auto boot into Amiberry. So now let's see. I think we can do sudo nano boot big.txt. That is not a file. Oh goodness, there's a. I'm just trying to get this if I can force resolution here. So which config is it using? Because it is just there we go. So let's see. I think there should be a. Looking at a guide here for. That's what's going to happen a lot. We're going to be messing around with this kind of stuff. So I apologize for doing this on the fly, but that's what we're going to do. Let's see. We're going to have a video group here now. And again, if people have suggestions or know what's going on, feel free to stop me and correct me. As I am very noob at this. So, let's see, do we have an HDMI? Find it's just a video option somewhere. Power management, frequency, emulation. Vision tabs, man, it just gets, I know it's near impossible to look at what you can see here. It's a problem. I'm trying to find the video things to force a certain resolution. There might be a search. Let's see. Is there a search? Location. Yeah. I don't know where I'm asking AI and stuff like that too. It's just, it told me where to what to add, just not if there's a, let's see, generic driver options, PC card. Boy, we could just scan in this file forever if we're just looking for that. Where is Control F? Search HDMI. F. Big HDMI Y. DJ console. That is not there. Nope, that is not there. So how do we go to the very end? There we go. Now, can we, yeah, it is, there's always the kicker or whatever. I find it helpful when you're kind of bouncing ideas back and forth, honestly. But we need to, can we just enter in? How do we save this now? All right. Let's try it. What's the worst that can happen except horrific system failure, and then we just, rebuild it again. We'll see if it sets the resolution now. Looks like it's larger. Yeah, that might be the grub console. We set it to be larger, but 8x600, but. And it booted right into Amiberry. Wow. I was expecting this to be a lot harder than it actually was, but I don't think that... It doesn't really matter because we'll go right into this here now eventually. So it's funny because part of the thing I wanted to do was to get it to auto boot in the Amiberry, but now they have an option for that, so it'll be basically trivial to set up. We will have an emulated Amiga here in a moment because I'm going to copy over an existing installation from Amiga Vision just to get going, and you can of course build your own setup and everything. But I don't think you can set anything in here as far as resolution goes. This is all just within the runtime itself. But yeah. We can quit out to the console here. Whenever my monitor catches up. Let's see, that did not work. Or maybe we should have a smaller... All right, let's see, because it was that high. So let's see, CD boot. Nope. And it's too small. I'm gonna try. I'm not sure if it did change it or not, but I config. I think it's still not gonna. Okay, well now it figured it out. Okay, so never mind. We just had to reboot. So there we go. Now we can set a better resolution so we can actually see what the heck's going on. So we do 1280 by 1024. Now we'll see if we can actually see what's going on. So, yeah, I was expecting this to be a lot more complicated because my original intent was to first install a Diet Pi, which I wasn't expecting to be... Oh, there's a lot of green flashing. Which I wasn't expecting to be a huge problem. Maybe the adapter doesn't like the low resolution I said we'll see here when it comes back into life, was to get it to run .py, which you see that it boots up very quickly, and now we're into the configuration for Amiberry. So it is much quicker than I expected to. We need to copy the data off, but I think let's maybe switch to an even lower resolution so we can actually see. So let's go to we're going to go to 800 by 600, but you can see how quickly it reboots, because .py, the intent is that it's a slim down Debian as much as possible to increase the speed of the boot, including green flashing screen, which is really neat. A little seizure there, so I guess flashing light warning for the ones that are sensitive to that. But now we should actually be able to see the screen a little bit better if it's running 800 by 600. There we go. That's better. So now we're at a resolution that, is difficult to maneuver around but actually visible. So what we're looking at right now is the Amiberry configuration screen. And this is what you get if you launch Amiberry directly on Windows or any whatever you're running on. This is what you'll get. This drops it in there. And then you can configure your Amiga with all the settings, the power performance, and everything. Apparently my screen's going to lose sync. There we go. You can set the performance, all that stuff. You got to save that configuration. But we're going to make it a little easier because we have, to save some time, I have the Amiga Vision component here, which includes all the configuration for us, which makes it even easier, which means the steps at this point will be super simple. Like, you literally just would take this machine, install .py on it, install Amiberry, set it to auto boot, copy over Amiga Vision, and now you have a emulated Amiga. So let's see, quit. We're going to go into... So we have the USB stick now attached. Hopefully the right one. We'll find out. .I config. We're going to attach, let's see, tools. Nope, not that. Nope. Might be in the wrong spot. That might be the launcher, actually. Oh. There we go. We want to File Explorer and Manager. That's what we're looking for. That's going to launch a File Explorer that we can mess around with the files and everything. It's going to make it easier to copy stuff over. Honestly, this is a really slick setup with .py because it's so trimmed down. I can see why this is pretty popular. Because again, the purpose is to keep it as slim as humanly possible. So, well, that's not... I don't think... See, do we have USB mounted here? Mount. Yes. It's not mounted yet, so this is where, let's see, we need to mount the drive. And I know there's a command to do that, but I'm just trying to remember how to do it here. Because I did watch a video on this just to get some idea. Goodness. Diet. I. Big. That was not in here. Performance? Nope. Again, if you're a Linux savvy here, this is probably like a 30-second thing. But for me, I'm just that noob at this. It's already set. It's just crazy that they have that built in now. That makes it a lot easier. Yeah, there's no... Reboot it again, because there was some stuff in the beginning there that that gave you some more options on what to do. But I got to see how to do that. So. Yep, I plugged in the wrong one. I knew it. That was the live CD or live boot image, so. It's just crazy, because what's going to happen now is that this is how quick it will go from cold boot into an Amiga mode. And that's going to be pretty slick once we get to that point. So, but that's part of what we're doing tonight. So, um, yep. We have the launcher, we have the config, and we have the software. Um, mm-hmm. Maybe may take a while there. Diet Pie Drive Manager. Drive. Derv. I think the most I laughed was when we played Monkey Island on the uh, Apple machine, and you had different audio quality options, right? And I think it would just be a quality selection, but it was just horrible on the good setting. That's what made it so funny, I think. So, let's see. I automatically mount USBs to media when connected. Yep, that's okay to me. So, oh, I actually got to plug the freaking thing into. I'm so smart. Let's see if I picked the right media this time. So it should auto-mount it then, all right? Yep, there it is. So that is our goodness. That is our USB stick. So now we're gonna do Diet Pi launcher and go to the File Explorer here. File Explorer Manager. There we go. There it is. So I want to navigate there. Yep. So that's what I want. So I have Amiberry selected, and I want to copy that to its home. Nope. Nope, that's not what I want. Just that's me just being not super familiar with how to navigate in this thing here. So I was copying that to home, but I want to copy it over an existing folder. So Diet Pi launcher. Again, if you know what you're doing through, this is probably super simple. So we have that selected. That's navigation, but how do I select the next one? Okay, let's just, so I have this selected. I want to copy, let's see, no, that. Amiberry selected. I want to copy that to home. I want to go into Amiberry. Yeah, I want to copy that, or I want to copy it over. I think I want to copy it to home. Yep. Copy Amiberry to home. Yes. Paste. Gonna overwrite everything in theory, and at worst we'll break Amiberry when we install it. But what the idea is here is that now we have an entire folder that's pre-configured with all the configuration, all the stuff to launch directly into Amiga Vision. And at that point, we have all the games, all the software, all the demos, everything, and we'll also have an extremely fast Amiga, basically ready to roll. Now, there's other images like this as well, but this is what I want to try, and this is what I'm familiar with. We ran it on the Mister before. We run it on real hardware. It's really a really nice Amiga bundle of software. So check that out. It's a very useful one to use. There's also, like I mentioned earlier, Amiga, which is a much more robust, like full desktop, everything more modern. And we'll probably try it out at some point too, honestly. But fun to do it on this machine specifically, honestly, because it's compatible with all the old Amiga stuff, but it runs a newer version of Workbench, and it has, or a custom Workbench. It has like high resolution, all the good stuff you might imagine or want. So, we'll see if this works here now, or if I'm going to copy it to the wrong directory. We should find out. Okay, there we go. So we're going to exit now. Okay, exit. We're going to go to home. Amiberry. Oops, CD Amiberry. Sure. Yeah, so we have our, yeah, so there's Amiga Vision. So now, if we just reboot it in theory, it should go right into Amiga Vision, and we'll have a Amiga running after our little techno thing here. At that point, the steps are honestly really simple for getting this rolling. It's like ridiculously easy because, well, besides that flashing screen, which is really annoying. You just launch directly into Amiberry, and Amiberry should go right into Amiga Vision. It did not. So, all right, we got some work to do. Something is not working right here. Let's see the configurations. Yeah, it's not reading anything at all. So, well, it was in theory nice and easy. Because the configurations, let's see, it should have the kick files too here then. Let's see, that's the paths. Oh, it's in diet pi user data, not mberry. So it needs to go into that directory. So we're closer, but not quite there. Interesting. So it's not dropping into the Amiberry directory. So that's what broke there. So diet pi launcher. I'm going to Explorer again. Yep. And we're going to select the media again. We're going to go here. We're going to select Amiberry. And then we're going to copy that to... Now I'm getting the hang of this thing here. So this is going to be the user directory. Or home, sorry. Home. We need to go further. Diet pi. Interesting. It's just like... Or is that in the... No, not the user directory, right? I should have looked more... Let's see, what directory did it say it was going to? Root Amiberry ROMs. So that's the main path. Interesting. Is that because I launched it from there? Yeah, I can't launch it from there, so... We haven't copied the files to the right directory. That's what it comes down to. But let's look again. I'm going to reboot it again, and we'll deal with the green flashing one. So that's really annoying why it's doing that. It would be nice to do that. What we need to figure out is where to copy the Amiga Vision installation files and everything, or the configuration files, because it's not reading that there natively, or wherever it's pulling it from the default is not correct. So that's our problem right now. So let's look again. Paths. So it's under mount diet pi user data Amiberry ROMs. So it's actually mounting it from the MNT. See. If I go here now and I go to, what I can do is probably just do, I can do this. Home. Select that as a root directory. Base content folder. Apply. Use assets. Save the default, and for some reason the window or my monitor goes haywire every single time. So now, I don't know that's gonna like this anyway, but home, very. What's this? This is the ROMs folder. Okay. We'll specify them all manually. And again, this is probably just my inexperience with using this, so. And we don't have a floppy directory, doesn't matter. hard drives. Probably make it more difficult for myself than it should be. Visuals. So where is the config file? Let's look at this here now. Load a config file, not that one. Search. Yeah, I think we have it right here. So we need to use the configuration already exists, but yeah, let's quit out of these and restart again, and then see again where it drops by default. It goes to mount cd mnt. Oh. So that's where dietpy user data is. So it should go into there then. Dietpy user data. And that's where the MR folder. So that's where we need to copy it to. So let's see. Dietpy launcher. Explorer. We're going to select the MNT not mounted right. Oh, media. Yep, there it is. We want the Amiga folder, and then we want to copy that to MNT dietpy user data. Paste it. Who knows? We'll try again. Who knows? And the idea is that not only does it contain all the files that they are basically hard drive images, but it also contains the configuration file for Amiberry. So Amiberry knows where to look for, the ROM files, the hard drive files, everything you might need there. So what we're trying to do is just take that wholesale, and that's how the Amiga Vision crew has set up their image, is that you just drop it over, overwrite your Amiberry installation that can be on your computer directly with Amiberry. That can be on your Linux installation, whatever. It can be on this type of setup. It can be on, Analog Pocket, whatever it is. You just take that and just override it, and then the Amiberry gets all the configuration, all the pointers where the stuff should go, and that's what makes Amiberry be able to launch directly into Amiga Vision without tinkering with it. And you could tinker with it if you wanted to create a brand new image. Install Workbench from scratch, absolutely you can do that, and then you can use that as your main setup and everything. But in this case, we're trying to get it turnkey as fast as possible, so we're trying this. And half of this is my inexperience with navigating Linux and dietpy specifically. Getting Blast, welcome. Taking our all right, let's see if that worked then now. Okay, so we're gonna exit, and then we're gonna go dir, and we're gonna go ami. So there's two Amiga folders now. Of course, they weren't the right names, so can't win there. So there's Amiberry, and there's Amiberry with a capital A, really. Is there a command to, let's do dietpy launcher again, and do explorer, by user data. We're going to open the basic one, and we're going to delete that. Yes. We're going to select this one. We're going to rename it Mayberry. Now it's like nothing ever happened. So now we only have the Amiberry lowercase that the software expects. So we'll just freaking case sensitive OS. So we'll reboot and try that now and see. And the best part is like, we're not out much. Like, there's nothing to lose here, really, because all we need to do is just either we can reload the whole OS again in a couple minutes. We can reload the whole, that might be a sign. Not. Look at that. Maybe? Thinking about it? Or just completely crash? No signal. I was doing something. I'm not sure it's doing what we want, though. Probably not. We're getting closer? I don't know. F12 opens the, yeah, so there's something, let's see, with the CPU. So it has all the settings right now. So it is correct. So chipset, hard drive files. Yep, it's all correct. However, it doesn't want to boot. So what's the deal here now? This should not be a 500. This should be a 1200, I'm pretty sure. Oh, well, that's the quick start. Okay, so CPFPU is 68060. Chipset, AGA, advanced chipset, ROM, RAM. Yeah, we got plenty of RAM. Hard drive files are correct. Yeah, that's all correct. So why is it not playing nice with this? Maybe the display output? Reload current configuration, restart emulation. Start. There it is, first try. So let's see if the audio works this time without the horrible background noise thing that was going on. Nope, it is not. I'm just getting buzzing sound, so. I gotta figure out that because that's more of a capture problem here. I think the resolutions are a little off or too, sorry. But the audio is a major part, of course, of the Amiga experience, so. I may have to switch capture solution here, so let me think about this for a second now. Pardon me. Do I have rigged right? Let's take a look. Yep, we're doing the live, so stand by. This one. Yeah, let me think here now. Because we have, yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to rethink on the fly here the capture method because I think that it's not liking the, there's an RCA or a normal like 3.5 serial jack on the front of it, and it's not liking that. It could be something with the Linux piece that it doesn't enjoy or whatever. So that's what I'm trying to think of now here. Because it's basically not passing audio through. Not that. I'm gonna start a demo here to see some music Hall of Fame. Sure, we'll start that one. Why not? Flashy. Quite a line up here what we're seeing or hearing. But it looks cool. Oops, not that one. Delete. Just gonna quit out of this here now. Let me try and think here now. It's too many variables at the same time. Wow, the CPU tab is pretty good. So that's the thing. This should barely like scratch the surface of what this machine can actually do. Should be basically, nothing. So, but I'm gonna do another reboot here because I think that the device might be passing audio out on the 3.5 instead of the HDMI, which is what I would expect. So, any Bruce Lee? We're getting closer. Now it's a capture configuration issue. That buzzing is from weird, or what's producing that buzzing. So I may just have to restart my KVM actually. See. Should boot right into the thing now. Does it actually work this time, or just go with no signal? Something quite not right with the setup still. That's right. So it is weird because it should be at 1200 here. We just need to save this configuration. Paths are correct. Chipset 68020. So that should be the correct one. ROM. Oh no, I reset it now. Not smart because now I lost all the configuration. So it's got to be something. Let's see. Now I'm just making it more difficult for myself right now, right? So boy, it is not liking these resolution switches going on right now. I'm not sure what's happening here. Play nice. See, that's like, of all the things, that's a problem right now. It's the resolution and capture issue that's the problem right now, instead of the, I want to establish a good locker connection. This is just straight HDMI now. It just goes through a splitter, so I can capture it and look at it at the same time. That's about it, so. I wonder if it's the, it's my, KVM thing that's causing a problem here. Interesting. See, that's the thing. It's always the time you need to spend on is not figuring out the issues. It is just something completely unrelated. Like, it's outputting resolution and it's not liked by the... I'm trying to look at the screen besides the flashing here, just to make it difficult. Oh, I forgot. Okay. Let's see. But this is painful. I don't know why I decided now to be weird to capture all of a sudden. It is really not liking to synchronize to this image. So maybe we need to change the resolution. It doesn't like it. We'll go to high resolution. Maybe 800 by 600 is just not playing nice, apparently. Right with the capture or my monitor or what's going on. I wanted to copy this first. Can. Doing it live. What a pain. It's always something. But that's already pasted now, I think. I might, let's see, do that. But it's just really having a bad time. Diet, pie, config, display options, display resolution. Even that plays nicer, I guess. Really wonky with the capture there. On the road again, Bruce. Driving. Trucking. Oh, I left the USB stick plugged in. I mean, I like that, so. But continue booting here. This is not being all wonky this time. Yeah, I don't know what is going on with the, at least their resolution is stable now, so let's see what we have for paths here. Chipset AGA, 820. RAM, nope, it went back to the... Wait, it's just losing, it's just changing resolution or signal constantly. It is weird. I'm not sure if it's something to do with HDMI, like, setting it has, but anytime I can click around and I lose synchronization on my monitor constantly. It is really bizarre. And this is still the incorrect configuration, so I load this and it goes back to the default. Can't win apparently. And now it's back to flickering. What the heck is going on here? Maybe I will try and switch to using VGA capture instead, because this is just wonky as all hell. Sure why it's just it's acting up so much. I'm gonna play nice. Gonna flicker more. Replug the HDMI cable. That was enough to get it back into shape, so whatever. This is how we do retro stuff. We just kind of wing it. Now, why am I not copying that file over? Media. So. Media. Not there. Thought I told you to auto mount. There it is, I think. Or is that the wrong media now? Yeah, I think that might be the DietPi installer. See, it's funny because the actual process of this should have been very straightforward. It has not been straightforward, mostly because the random problems we're seeing now have nothing to do with anything. So, you knew my point. Extremely beefy Amiga. So yeah, that's our goal here now, but we just keep running into random problems. So, can I just launch Explorer? Yeah, I can. Okay, so we're gonna pick here Amiberry. Just conf. That's the default one we need. I want to copy that to MNT, DietPi, user data, Amiberry. Configurations. Paste. A conf file there. Nope, it's not the right configuration still. Nothing there. At this point, I will probably just do a recopy of the entire Amiberry directory because something is just wonky here now. So, I guess I don't even know what the command to delete something is, so we'll just do the Explorer. Quite a while now, honestly. I can't remember when we bought it, but delete, yes, gone. Now we're going to copy this again. Inusuka, welcome back. Been a long time. Yeah, we bought it a while back, I think, to use. We're going to use it for in-house streaming, not the sense that like, we're going to use it for streaming on our desktop, so that we can have like a computer sitting somewhere else and then stream to this machine. But never end up using it. So it's been a utility machine now for at least a couple of years, just random small things, and it's just one of those, random. Like I can show it here on Action Cam again, but this is a bog standard like B-Link mini generic PC, right? And it works really well, as you can tell. Well, besides me fumbling around with it. Let's see, media there, Amiberry, and we're going to copy that to Menti IPy user data. And now we're going to paste. Pasting from scratch again. Rename it to Amiberry with lowercase, and we'll try again. So it's like if you're messing it up, just redo it, right? So there's the command that's running at the bottom. You should be able to do that too. Again, because I'm a noob with this, and you get more used to it, right? Yeah, the end goal with this again was for us to just be able to launch this Amiga or this hardware machine and use it right into Amiga or Amiberry. And I'm not sure why we're getting some problems now. And I'm not sure if it's to do with my capture, my configuration, my connecting to it. So we'll fiddle around with that. And I might to do more with the capture setup than anything that's not relating to the machine or configuration of it. So at the end of the day, like I mentioned earlier, what I want to do, actually use, is one of these, which is just a USB or sorry HDMI to VGA dongle. I'm gonna plug in my PCCRT into that, and I didn't want to capture that now because I can, but it's like it's a little fuzzy because it's VGA. But going to a oops, I forgot to buy it. Or exploder. Amiberry. We're gonna rename that to okay. It's gonna launch Amiberry. It still doesn't pull in the configuration. What the heck is going on? Because it doesn't like the location? It keeps saying root. Maybe that's where it ran from. So didn't launch it from. So we'll reboot it again because it's not launching the correct configuration now, which should be in that same directory. It's trying to launch a certain config file after boot, so maybe that's being confusion here, but yeah, I want to use this with a PCCRT, so you have that more like 4x3 CRT effect, but I have a very nice Dell, pretty late CRT. It's nothing special, but it's a really nice image on it, so that will be a good one to use for this purpose. So now it goes into this point where it goes into just unknown. And if I go in here now, I have the configuration. For some reason it doesn't like launching it. Maybe I just need to save the configuration. So right now it's got all the hard drives. If I resume emulation, it works, right? For a second there. This is really weird. Could just be with the output, so maybe I'll switch to using the VGA capture instead and just skip the HDMI thing. I'm not sure what's going on with this. Yep, now it's just going wonky again. Load the current configuration and start emulating. Now it went back to, I guess that's the quick start. So we have a 6860, a 1200. Okay, so we're in the right place now. We just don't have no audio. Which is really weird. I have this not. Hmm? Doesn't look like it's actually passing the audio through the HDMI. So I'm not sure if that's a setting that's disabled. Something like that. Oh, audio device. Um, hmm. So I'm just messing with random stuff here now, but well, demo looks cool. We have it running correctly. Oh, it's going to a certain mode, which is why I've seen the extreme flickering going on. That's the thing that a lot of the Amiga demos and everything, they use very specific like modes and CPU tricks and, video tricks and everything to get it to drop correctly. So I think that we may have to check the settings if it has like HDMI not passing audio correctly. Nothing wants to be simple, or the audio driver is not working on this thing in the first place. So, let's quit out the emulation. Diet Pi config audio options, sound card. We have the automatic detection, so maybe we'll do to analog then. Oh, install also to enable audio capabilities. Okay, so maybe we were missing the audio setup settings, so maybe that's a problem. I hear. Sound card none, so now we'll mess with that. But I guess there goes my non-knowledge. It's just that what you need to configure. And I'm gonna guess now. The idea being is this is a Diet Pi. The Diet Pi configuration, so it is audio settings here again. It is a disabled by default, right? And that makes sense if this is mostly used as like a Pi hole or something else like that. Right back to here. It is weird. Goes up there real quick. Something with resolution switching doesn't like. Reload and start. That seems to work. So okay, let's see if we have any audio this time. I think so. Still trial and error here. Let's see. It's Workbench, so you get the actual Workbench screen and everything. It's pretty nice, but we will quit out of this. See, so part of this is just getting all the configuration going, but we're going to try and go back to the analog audio then and see if we can. Diet Pi config audio options. So we're going to set that to the ALC analog. Back. I'm going to reboot and then unplug the USB stick. And then if we can get this going is one thing, but I'm curious why. why it is going into a wonky mode. Maybe because the audio doesn't like it. It's not initialized or something. It goes very quickly into the configuration, which is weird. I have some audio now. Got a lot of static. Yeah, there's audio there, but it's incredibly quiet. So we're getting closer. Maybe. Weird on this input here, like the output is... Well, it's a good sign, so we might be able to figure out the HDMI thing then. If we unplug that... Haha. I don't get it. So, diet pi config. Can we see what HDMI output is going on right now? HDMI A1. So let's reboot again, and then we'll see if the HDMI picks up the audio here now. Just, well, that might be a good sign there. There's some noise on the not line. The weird part with this is still that I have to do this though. Not the desired state for sure. Nothing still. Hmm. This will be really cool with audio. I don't know where the static is coming from though. That's the weird part. I'm gonna think here now. What's going on? So we're gonna do this, and then let's check sound here. Master is maxed out. So audio device is HDMI 1. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. We need to check if there's any more settings I missed in the diet pi config. It might be something with the auto conversion, automatic software conversions. Okay, launches EQ and MDP audio options menu. F10 or exit. It's unrelated here. These are SPDIF. I don't think there's any select sound card. Yeah, there's no SPDIF on this thing at all, so... The hardware 07 plug. Okay, so that's that one. Nice do auto detection. So if I do this, yeah, it doesn't pick Yeah, I have it configured to use HDMI for the audio, but it's still weird that it's not grabbing that. And I tried to use it in the analog one, which has an analog output, but then I get really poor audio. It's very quiet and very noisy, so could be interference from one of the other inputs on this thing, but it shouldn't be. But I may have to restart the KVM. But the idea was that I could use it as HDMI, which you should expect, right? USB audio DAC. I don't know which one is the plug. My one. An automatic conversion. There's nothing in display options yet. Display drivers AMD. I was curious to see if there's anything around. So HDMI A1. If there was anything around the settings for the passing through audio. And also might be that if it's detecting it as HDMI that's not passing audio, yeah, it might not let it do it. But you'd think that audio always has pass or always pass through. That's fine. Is there anything in here? Yeah, I did that. We did that test I just before you joined, and it's really quiet and really just really hard to hear anything. So reboot again. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there, but yeah, we have HDMI 1 in theory as being output audio, which is what you'd expect on a setup like this, right? So I'm not sure if it's my capture is a problem there. The capture device I'm using should be able to pick up audio, and it's configured to pick up audio on HDMI 1. So for some reason, it still doesn't like that. I have to reload the configuration. Something is not quite right there still. No audio. Audio at all. You know, good question. No, it's in fact, it's just a speaker symbol. So that's a good call out though, because you never know. Checking my other audio interfaces here. Volumes, but yeah, the only thing is if I increase the audio from the KVM, then I get static. So we did have audio on the analog, so there's probably better to go that route. Gotta have something, right? Because that would be ideal anyway for the way I have set up. So we'll do automatic software conversion. Did it go back to generic analog on? Sets. If it were to work correctly, then at least it was booting very quickly in there. Still doesn't play nice. You can probably hear there's some noise there on the capture thing coming through. So well, there's decidedly less static now. Maybe that's a good sign. There we go. Are there people hearing that too? I'm not just crazy. Right? Yeah, they put some nice music in the launcher here. You can turn it off too, but it makes it very attractive to just use as like a, you know, walk up to a machine, basically. Gotta run this because it's, we've run it before, but it's my favorite Amiga demo just because of the music, but let's see if it works correctly. Yeah, pretty quiet on my end, but hopefully it's, The problem too is if I don't have my headphones on, I don't hear the stereo sound. There might be some more configuration messing around with there, but... Otherwise, we now have a very powerful Amiga with all the bells and whistles. We can go into sysinfo, run it, and get, like, you gotta do when you have an emulated Amiga. You have to run the system and sysinfo benchmark. There's more tweaking to do, and that's what I do like to figure out why it doesn't like launching correctly. Might be because we have the default data somewhere, I'm not sure, but the fact that to reload the config to launch it feels like it's reading a config file from somewhere else. I'm still trying to fire it up, but then it fails, so... And, I mean, I mentioned before, and, you know, I've been singing the praises for Amiga Vision in general. I mean, you can download Amiga Vision today, and you can install an emulator on PC, you can drop this package in here, and all of a sudden you have, you know, a selectable menu with all the games and all the demos you might ever want, and that's a great way to get into the Amiga as a whole. Drop right in. And because we have enough power here, this should be basically, let's see, what is the workbench? Let's see what we got here. So definitely to mess with the resolution here, because it is way too small here for my liking. So utilities, go config. It's very speedy, but I think the resolution or something is not correct or good right now. Data, yeah, that's apps. There's this info. We gotta run it. It's just a mandatory thing. Yep. Okay, we have an installation. That's fine. All I want to do is see the red bar and see it being ridiculous because we have 68060, which is incredibly powerful for, I mean, it's pretty much, it depends on like how we're doing the emulation and everything too, but we are running as a, you know, Amiga 4000 basically, and I think we can probably boost that even more, but I think that this is configured for max compatibility more than just raw speed, because that's not what it's after, right? You can run everything with this, on this configuration, you can run everything you'd want at the max speeds and resolution. Remember we got, yeah, we got 256 meg of memory, which is more than plenty. But I would like to mess with the resolution because it's awfully small on the screen here. So I think that we either have overscan maybe on. Okay, it's resizing the window. Drag in the window. Probably set to be a compatible resolution. Would be nice to oh, it's overscan on. I wonder if we set this to higher, it might be just super wonky. See if we can remember 720 by 568. I'm going to forget that right away, so I'm going to take a note of that. Let's see. We're gonna go. Can we change this? Probably apply it. Save it. Oh. Weird. Yeah, something to do with like the audio configuration or something on this device or machine is not playing nice. Still set to that same. Might be my full window screen. I think it might be hard fixed to stick with the resolution that makes sense or should be correct for this. Auto crop. Just auto. I'm messing with it right now, but this is probably sacrilegious because I am removing the integer scaling and just blurting it out to the full screen. Whoa, that's blurry because we're scaling up low resolution, right? So we have any options with that? The scaling method is auto. Going to be an integer scaling. We don't have any good scalers on here for that, so that's why when you're doing nearest scaling, then it's just pixel by pixel, and you get it up as high as you can. But I would think that we can get higher. Can't remember if nearest was the one that was on my default. Then if we go to display, and what is... It's not right, dang it. It's going to have sharp pixels. I don't know what I'm doing right now. I'm just, messing with the thing that's supposed to be sacrilegious and don't mess with it, but I'm just boosting up the resolution. There we go. That's sharper. A weirder, but sharper. I think I'm just, doing horrible things now with the scaling here. But we should have nearest scaling, which should be basically only, doubling pixel size or something like that. It's basically the nearest one should be, as long as it's a fixed resolution. A random one here. Yeah, the scaling is all... Sorry, everyone else was doing scaling stuff. I'm just really being wonky with it. I recognize some of this music, so... That's why it's Jester. You ready to kick some ass? Oh, it's the 90s. It was so extreme. So cool. The Amiga platform is amazing. Any way you enjoy it or emulate it, it's the right way, right? It's just there's so many ways to do it, but it's a fantastic platform to explore. And we're getting closer, at least. I wonder now if I reboot if it still goes wonky on the boot. I want to see what the settings are. Ideally, we just boot right into the Amiga Vision thing. I'm not sure why it's not playing nice with that. Maybe it's something obvious I'm missing or not, or if I copied the configuration file to the wrong spot, something like that. Show's over. You could say that, yeah. There's the demos, of course. We have, music discs. And we have, the biggest thing on here is all the games. Because there are, like, a billion games on here. And because this supports AGA, which is the last graphic architecture that was available for an Amiga, you can get all the cool games on here too, so... So let's see, where is the paths? Mount type user Amiberry ROM, so that's all correct. RetroArch config, we don't need that, I guess. Overrides. This is all correct, so I'm not entirely sure why it's not booting correct there. So we have a 68060, which is like the fastest CPU you would be able to realistically have on an Amiga. Yeah, so we have 1200. Yeah, there is. There is a Doom port. I'm not sure. We can check around and see if it's included here, but it's basically you have to run Doom on a machine that is way beyond what Amiga could do back in the day, right? But there is a Doom port on it, so we will see if... I'm not sure if it's included in this bundle or not. It may not be. But there's definitely a Doom port, and that's something at some point I want to mess with as well, is to try out and muck around with the Amiga, because that includes all the modern stuff in there that you might expect, so... This is all correct. I'm curious to see if we... Here's the paths. All in NMT. Side pi user, blah, blah, blah. We quit now. Reboot again. That's where tweaking goes, and... Oh, there's... Audio goes wonky too there. So yeah, something with the audio, and I'm going to chalk it up to my capture or misunderstanding of how Linux does it. It might be that it has not initialized the mixer yet, and that's just going haywire because of that. But in theory now, it should just be booting up Linux here. It should launch Amibear directly, and it should load the config and go right into... And it kind of does. It loads the config there. I see it goes to the resolution, but then it just goes black. But then when I press F12, it goes in here. So what is the configuration showing now? AGA. So it is all the correct configuration, but not until I do a reload does it work. Odd. Oh, the aspect auto integer. Really curious why it's doing that, because then you reload it. Config. Start it now to boot, right? So what is the difference there? Why is it not launching on startup? If you let me from Amiga Vision watch this later, I'm sorry I butchered your pretty setup and everything. If there's tips as far as like what I should be doing for scaling the image, because I feel like it's still not quite right. There's probably an easier way to scale that up than what I'm doing. But why won't it load? Yeah, it's pretty impressive, like the stuff like, so MVG has been doing some videos on Doom on Neo Geo, and the way the hardware is built, it was not really meant to support. It can't do what you need to run Doom. That didn't stop people, though, so they're trying to shoehorn in stuff that should never have been there, which makes, you know, no sense at all. So we'll do... audio is not the problem right now. That does work, of course. You can also enable floppy drive sounds if you want to emulate the floppy drive sounds. But yeah, they're shoehorning Doom onto Neo Geo at this point, which has some pretty impressive developments. The fact that it's even getting that far is pretty ridiculous. So, and really curious what... Yeah, so it does have no frame buffer, right? So it has to draw everything directly on screen as it sees, because it's based as a sprite-based console, right? It's meant for arcade and huge sprites and everything. That's the purpose of it. So it was never built for it. But that doesn't stop a whole bunch of people online, and they're shoehorning it on there anyway. So do display shaders. Do that off for now. See, I'm not entirely sure why it will... We're this exact same configuration, yet it bombs out, and we... And then the audio goes crackly there too. That is something weird going on here, but yeah, I'm not going to mess too much with the audio. We can get around it, and really what I'm trying to do is just get into um, just messing with the Amiga stuff and everything. But the uh, part here is still annoying. Why it's doing this? The resolution mismatch. I don't have a right resolution for it to launch, and that's causing a problem. It's like resolution switching, maybe. That's it. Already saved, so this is the default configuration. Default width and everything. This is the default stuff it's launching with, and that's the problem. I know I'm just like... I'm going to assume I can't... Oh, I guess I can just read this one. Yeah, Amiga Vision has all the correct information here, because this is the one they provide. But I know I'm just doing something stupid and missing something easy, right? I'm just messing up with the configuration, and what they should be just a turnkey solution. The graphics width is 720 by 568, so that's not including the settings I was saving there. It's like it's not loading or reading it. Maybe it doesn't have read writes to this configuration file. I'm saving it though. It's weird because it launches and it's supposed to use the default configuration file, which is exactly the same one. We just exit out into the emulator and we reload it and start it, and it runs, but not on boot up. So something is problematic there with the boot up. It's not like loading the config file correctly. I also see it momentarily show up there real quick. It shows up before it goes wonky. So I feel like it's something to do with the resolution or whatever I'm running this device in. Feels like it, but... So graphics settings there are not the correct ones, or the ones I set anyway. So, and I'm butchering the setup now. If I can. Who knows? Feels like there's something with resolution switching going on, or something that the emulator is not loading that configuration file correctly, and like, we can get around it. But the idea is that I wanted this to be turnkey boot, like boot it up, go right to Amiga, play. But that's not really happening right now because of all the problems as it fires up here. Like, it's getting into the application. I wonder if there's a way to suppress the messages there so you don't get that on boot up. Launches Amiberry, launch the configuration, and then it dies. I was launched it. That's right. Now I'm fully broke. It can't even get into the emulation window. Hey, Silicon Blues. Welcome. I think I froze it now. Nice part about being like, there's no data on here that I'm worried about, right? Everything can be restored and blown away. So as long as we can get back into Linux, then we can figure out or reset the settings. But so it's going to come up there now. Go right into Amiga. Launch it. There we go. So now I can do, so display is correct. It's all set exactly as it should be. If I do reload now and start, it works, right? Right? Right. So what's different? Why? Why? I don't know. But we get kick-ass Amiga music at least. Yeah, so we have special, we can go to, there's some 060 demos here, for example, that rely on a 68060 processor, which is like the last 68K processor, very powerful. We are emulating that now, so we should be able to run these, which are very difficult. There's a demo from 2025. That should be pushing the machine to its limits, so let's see what happens if we run that. It should be able to emulate this fine, really, because it has enough horsepower to run the fast processor. We'll see. Maybe, maybe not. We'll put a lot of strain on it, so if it can run at full speed, I'm not sure. This will be a demo that just came out then basically last year that's intending to push their accelerated Amigas to the very limit, so... And I will say, honestly, I don't know what this should be, so... But it's also a good way to test if the emulation is accurate, because you might get really weird problems. Demos rely a lot on math, and they rely a lot on CPU trickery, chipset trickery, and everything. So I get a feeling this is like a ray traced or love Amiga demos. They're so cool. Cooler than I am. But yeah, I think the resolution thing, I gotta figure that out because it's not quite accurate when we still play games now. And figure out the boot up thing. I don't know the boot up thing. It's really weird. Why I can load the config, see it, but then not launch into it. So maybe it's just too fast. Is it spinning up too quickly? Ending Mr. Villager. Welcome. Just vibing here with the Amiga demo. Now that we have our little mini PC running an accelerated and emulated Amiga here, very high speed. So, who am I? Well, I'm Rick from Rick's Random Retro. This is really cool. So I love the demo stuff, and I love just turning that on in the background, letting it run and stuff, but we can explore some of these things. We should be able to play any of the, well-known games, no problem, so welcome aboard. We just do random retro stuff here, try and stream every week if I can. Not always the case. I've been going at it for a long time now, took a long break here now for a couple of years, but back on it now. I used to do videos as well, or tried to do videos, but just random retro things that I like. I like PCs and computers from the 90s. That's kind of my thing, or most of what I like. That's supposed to sound like that. I think so. Finally. But I like pretty much everything retro. That's why I call myself a random retro, because I just like so many random things. I don't have any... How do I exit this? I don't. The neat part. So escape, I guess. Goon Royale. Just I've heard these tracks before too. Kind of want to check out Goon Royale. This is too perfect. Again, requires 68060. I really appreciate it. I would say the odds are pretty low, but question is, not all of these may run accurately. I guess it did. So again, with the demos and everything, it's often using weird trickery to get going. And if you're not emulating that accurately, then you may not be able to run it. So I'm not sure if this is one that actually works on emulated hardware even. So I would think so, because I think the Amiga Vision bundle is very curated. What's it going to work or not? So it's like it's maybe loading. We'll go to play just regular games here in a bit too, but that's kind of what I think most people are going to emulate an Amiga. They will just spin up and just play the classic games, which is what we probably do here in a minute too. But I wanted to see all of this, if it worked correctly. I have to grab a joystick too if we're going to do that. Guess I don't even know if Linux will play nice with it in the first place, so... Or if I have to configure that too, or add joystick support, who knows? I have this thing that came with the C64 Mini still, which is a nice, like, duplicate of the original, I can't remember what it's called. This joystick, so... not sure I do. I'm not very good at Ocarina of Time, so... I'm definitely not the person to play or to tell you about that one. If you're trying to go faster, I would recommend checking out the Games Done Quick. There's some extreme skill in place there for happening, but the community there is just insane speedrunners. So to the point where it's almost like, you watch something and it's like, I don't even know what's happening. It's going so... But again, this could just be fact. It could be loading. I don't know. It could be uncompressing, or it could just be like, this is not runnable or readable here. So it's just basically running after crashing. I'm not sure. Again, some of these might require or expect real hardware. So yeah, unsure. It is lava. The lava line. The line of lava. Wait another second, but at this point, I think it's pretty much not going to happen there. See if I can configure this within Amiga here, but... The loading? Is this just how it's supposed to be? Or is this broken? Who knows? There's that risk when you do, software emulation, right? Is that, it's accurate enough in many cases, but it may not always be... Oh? Just had to unpack, I guess. Pretty heavy duty one at that point. Yep, exactly. In this case here, we're running Diet Pi, which is a Debian stripped down version of Linux, to make it as lightweight as possible, to make this emulation machine as bare bone as possible. Oh, I just had to uncompress, I guess. So it's probably, yeah. It just seems to be running as expected. Some of these are just really psychedelic, so... I guess you guys can enjoy that while I get another soda here. I'll be right back, so don't trip out too much. The specs are right below here, you can see there. Right below me, so... some of this really wonky, and I'm actually semi-excited to plug this into, for those that join late, then my plan is to put this with the 17-inch Dell PCCRT that I have, which is really good quality or good condition. It's not a fantastic monitor by any long shot, but it was very hampered. It's sat like in a data center, perfectly filtered air, not run at all, so it has a few hours on it. Super nice tube in it and everything. It looks really good, so that's my plan to pair at this, so that you can get that CRT effect, but nice looking. I have original Amiga monitors too, but you know, they're good, but they're not quite as sharp as something like that. Well, it runs. Now, can you exit this? Cannot. Fine, we'll just do it this way. We'll just do a restart emulation, or can we just reboot? We'll reset the emulated Amiga. There we go. So we'll reset it. It should go back into the load menu. So I need to take a look and see at the input. Yep. Parallel port joystick adapter. Oh, there you go. The C64 joystick. That was easy. Wow. Huh. Yeah, I just found it. Okay, fair enough. Let's try a game. This game is just terrible. Hang on, I need infinite lives, invincibility. Yeah, there we go. This game is just like, I have a hate-love relationship with this. Dogs of War. My friend and I played this a ton when I was younger. My neighbor across the street when I grew up had an Amiga 500, so that's where I got a lot of my Amiga experience. In this game, we played it as much as we could, but it's just incredibly difficult. But we thought this intro was so cool. Look at this. Oh, we're mad now. I'm not sure if juice joystick in port 2. So we need nothing here. Need the C64 joystick. Oh, port 2, I see. I have the mouse up there. System mouse. I see. This is where we need to do it. Oh, yeah, look at that. Oh, that's amazing. I can use this. This is great. Oh, that's weird. I don't have much moderation on or anything like that, so unless the YouTube is doing it by itself. So in this game, you have to pick and, like, buy weapons. So let's see. This is the 765, 762 millimeter. Alright, thanks for stopping by. Hope to see you again. See you later. So, I'll show you this game quick because it's just awful, but we tried so hard to get anywhere. Now I'm invincible. Look at how ridiculous this is. There's a, I mean, how are you supposed to beat this? What invincibility? Just look at the enemies. There's a cheat code called Timbo FM, or Timbo F5. Instead of in Swedish, because that's what we used to say. That gives you basically unlimited lives, because it is just like, this game is ridiculous difficult. Look at this. If I turn off invincibility here now, and dead. It's like Ikaria Warriors, except, and that's it. You have failed. It's just an awful game, but I remember, like, we were just trying to play it, so, great music here now, too. We gotta play some Turken, too. Welcome to Turken. The Amiga is just such a cool platform. It's got so many neat experiences on here. They're all so awesome. Yeah, the resolution scaling is bothering me a bit because I know there's something I can do just better. I guess I don't want to spend too much time on it, but just something doesn't seem quite right, so... If I do auto here, it's blurry as all heck. The linear, that's going to be very blurry as well. Integer scaling is... Okay, so you get that then. I guess you can scale that up then somehow. That is not... Once I do integer scaling, it's not caring about the... Yeah, once you do integer scaling, it doesn't care about anything, it looks like. But I know I'm doing something wrong here, basically. But this is what I would like to scale up. Manual set to visible display area. Oh, well. I guess for the sake of this, we can just do this, so... Won't spend too much time. Okay, so we need infinite lives, because oh my goodness, this game is just ridiculous. I'll play a little Turkin too, but at the end of the day, that's why we're messing with this. We want to be able to just play games, right? So we can tweak the resolution settings and all the configurations so we're blue in the face. And then you just kind of want to play some games. But it also shows, like, what of a useful... One moment. Chris Holzbeck in the house. Glorious. Holzbeck had a, or has a way still, way with the Amiga. You can make it sing. Oops. Dang it, I have the second button as jump, which is not going to work so well on this controller. Yeah, that's not going to work on this controller. So, the problem is that the controller here, it's defaulted to second button for jump, which ideally is great, but then the problem is that this is shoot, so I can't do, like, normally up this jump, which is inferior in most cases. The Amiga had by default one button, so that's what you ended up using. But in this case here, it's not going to work very well, so... We go back to this and do second button for jump, infinite lives. There we go. Try that again. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, if nothing else, one thing that's I like to do, honestly, sometimes when I just want to kind of like fall asleep or something, is I turn on like a collection of game captures from a system I'm not familiar with and just look around for games that might be interesting. Often I fall asleep doing that, but there are so many ridiculous amount of games for these systems that, yeah, you're right, Blast. It's just like, oh, I've never seen this before. Like, it's the same thing, like, you know, I didn't play Genesis much, so then when I see, like, there we go. The problem with this freaking game is that it has no iframes. That makes the game near impossible, because it means that you can take unlimited damage from any enemy within a few seconds. I think that if there were iframes in this game, I think it would be vastly improved, but we do not have that. Oh, we're up. Laser. Look how much damage I'm taking. That's it. Yeah. I think we did have a shader, right? Let's see what that does if we put on a 1084 shader. Look at that. Now it looks like a real CRT. It actually is not too bad from that, but if we go to maybe a PC, a sharper. That's a cool look, honestly, for a flat panel like this. International Karate Plus. Classic. I am a fan of shaders and CR. Oh, it even has like a bloom effect. That's awesome. You see that? It's like brighter down the... That's great. I really like that because it really livens up the image and smooths it out better and like more akin to what it actually looks like on a CRT. And shaders have gotten so flippin' good. I mean, I know you mentioned the shader class. Like they not just like, oh, they add lines, but in this case, if you zoom in extremely, you probably see the different like images or the small RGB pixels, right? So actually, I think this enhances it a lot, so... Oh. Oh, too bad I'm terrible at this game. Come on, get up. White is out. Yeah, I got knocked out. Patch over. Oh, this actually, that's definitely recommended. There are so many cool games on Amiga. It's hard to even. I was curious to check out stuff that I don't know about, but let's see. Is there a? We got a little pinball. I just love Pinball Dream so much. These are some of the ones that I come back to all the time. I just keep going back to playing the... Even have the bloom effect. That's a really nice shader. Purist, Bomberman, Dyna Bomber. But just how shaders have gotten so good instead of just like you buy one of those MIDI consoles, right? Usually with scan lines means that they just add lines to it, but there's so much more to a CRT effect, like we can see here. There's bloom and there's, I mean, drag. Wow, they're going all in on this here. I am curious. That might be due to my setup here. Are you guys getting the stereo separation? So the way the Amiga does it, it has 2 channels per side. So 2 channels on left, 2 channels on right. Do you hear that difference at all? Because I do, and it might just be because OBS is not picking that up correctly. So yeah, it might just be my side, but... Alright, Suko, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you hanging out again, and get some rest after your long travel. Yeah, the glow is really cool. One thing with the Amiga was that it could do smooth scrolling like this, and that was a big deal for a computer. It had all that built in. It was built as a game machine. I mean, that's what happened, is like it got so popular as a game machine. There were so many games on it. Blast, I know you like pinball games. If you have not played the Dreams and Fantasies and Illusions, you're in for a treat. These are great games. And they were on PC as well, but... Now you get to see how bad I am in pinball. But I often like just... would just like fire up pinball, especially I'm on a real Amiga sitting next to me here, the Amiga 500, just like turn it on and just play a little Pinball Dreams. It's just a fun game to play for a few minutes. This is still solid for being a... Just put DICE on the map. Yes, the DICE that currently owns Battlefield and all that stuff. Those Digital Illusions back then, but this is what made them money enough to continue. So the thing is that I do never want to be a snob about like real hardware, because you can get almost the entire experience, short of like having the actual hardware in front of you, but this is not like good enough per se. It is just like an amazing way to experience all this. Oh wow, that's awesome. I have to look at that. That's fantastic. That's a good idea. That's so iconic. Everyone knows that sound. And what blew my mind is that I can't remember now, but Space Cadet is just one table out of 4 in a full-size game. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I remember now. What I want to say anyway is that emulation is fantastic, and it is a awesome way to experience everything like this. So if you have an old PC like this, you know, you can set it up like this, or just do a, you know, RetroPie and all of whatever. But it's just an excellent way to play all these old games. Like, you don't have to have the real hardware, because that gets expensive real fast. So trying to read the chat at the same time, but oh really? So you have a game pack with the extra tables? I never tried it, honestly. So yeah, and so the Amiga 1000 launched in 1985, and it took a few years before it became popular because it was expensive. Then when the Amiga 500 launched a couple of years later, it wasn't probably until like 89 that it really took off. And then you think about it, Commodore was like bankrupt like 6 years later, basically. So it was really a flash in the pan. But during that time period, with the Amiga 500 being spread to like every bedroom across the world, especially in the UK and Europe, boy, it just exploded, right? The sound capabilities and the graphic capabilities of that machine were just beyond anything at the time. Audio above all, because I mean, yeah. Come on. You can shake the table, but it not go so well. Yeah, that's the thing too, and I feel like I really wanted to make it 1200, right? And that was the thing, and I found one at DCF, and there was a reseller there that was refurbishing and selling them for what I consider a reasonable price. It was still, you know, a lot of money, but I turned down an Amiga 1200 years ago for like 120 bucks, and that seems ridiculous. Nowadays, that's just nothing. But back then, it felt like, I don't want to spend that money on it. But if I mean, I kicked myself for not buying that because it was just worth so much. And we can go to, there's an AGA only, so using advanced graphics on the Amiga later on. This is a much later pinball game. But it shows you what they did towards the end of the Amiga's lifespan. So, I mean, our prices should have come down. I don't know sure what's feeding it in the first place. So, yeah, that's the thing. You can have a lot of fun with a machine like that. It runs XP or something. It is. Man, I really like this. The shader is fantastic. I really like it. You get so much bang for your buck. Doing a game or a system like that that runs XP and be able to do almost everything on it. Like, it can handle so much stuff. Slam Tilt, the pinball game. This is a Digital Illusions game and pinball game in all but name. It's so close you can get to it without it being an actual Digital Illusions Pinball Dreams and all this stuff. Look at that. 3D. Whole bunch of Swedes. Pick the pirate, why not? I don't think I played this very much. It's like one of those games you hop in, try it out, but you can see the difference once you now jump into the early 90s versus the late 80s or whatever. Oops, let's see, what's the launch? there it is. Alt buttons. Oh, that was great. Hey, ball save, thank you. Wow. This game sucks, it's terrible. Awful game. I did a thing. Boy, I may need some practice on this game, I think. I am terrible at pinball, but I don't think I'm that terrible. The ball physics feel a little weird. They go really fast down. There's no lag on the ball. I mean, not stupid lag, but it should take a little while to get momentum. Feels like it's going really fast. And then the gap is, yeah, terrible game. But you see the difference in a later pinball game. That's a pretty high score. Try another table. It's terrible. The table's terrible. So. Option. Yeah, the audio-visual presentation of the Amiga and everything is just top-notch. That's what makes it so much fun. Yeah, the shader does a lot of work here. This table feels like a little flatter. Like the bumpers aren't so... The paddles aren't so, like, sloped straight down. And, you know, I'm a noob at pinball in general, so maybe there is a design choice there in how fast the table is or something, I'm not sure. But this feels a lot more friendly and... I don't know if this was on PC too, it probably was, but... It was just AGA exclusive, meaning that it was only runnable on Amiga 1200 or 4000. Yeah, check it out. Slam Tilt. And, you know, it's super easy to emulate now, right? You can probably just get it going pretty easy on just about anything. But I'm not sure if it was on, on PC. One I need to revisit is Balls of Steel. They had a Duke Nukem 3D table, which is fantastic. And I need to play that again. Had a lot of fun with that one. Like one summer, I played it a whole bunch, and then I never played it again. Yeah, so the Amiga has a... Yes, I played the Revenge of the Gator. Is that the one you're talking about? Endlessly. I got the box for it still, because I bought it when it was new, and I played that. So I really do like the simplicity of what Dreams... Pinball Dreams is. I think I needed more practice on this one, but still, really cool game. And again, the nice part is you can just kind of go back and around and you know, mess around like this. We have point click adventure games. We'll probably have to do Monkey Island just for the sake of it. The fact you can just run like this, and now we have a machine that's basically dedicated to this use case, right? That's what I like. You can still boot out and get a full Linux desktop and everything. Again, not that you can't do that on... pretty sure it does. Hang on. Moment of silence. It just smooths out, because, I mean, we're scaling up really low resolution stuff, right? And eventually you get some pretty... I mean, it's... Yeah. I feel shaders or adding in some sort of CRT simulation effect can smooth out and make it look a lot more real, to me at least, because that's more what I remember looking like, or when I'm playing on a CRT, versus like super sharp lines, so... Yeah, this on the MT32, only beaten by Monkey Island 2's intro on MT32. Oh my goodness, it might be the best like MT32 sound ever. It's like my favorite one. Yeah, look, there's a afterglow on the phosphor. Hard to tell on the stream, but I see it like lit up, goes away, and it's like fades. Fantastic. Alright. Like, by the time you get in and play like this, and especially a system like this age, which you can emulate very easily, you know, you have enough horsepower to run anything on here for the Amiga, so... Double glow, it's like... It even is different based on the color. Like, when he was talking, it's white, it stays on there longer. Now, that's pretty commitment to the bit. Click, light up, brighter. And then, that's awesome. Wow, that's commitment to the setup. That's amazing. Like, the brighter the color, the brighter it gets there. Exactly what you see on the CRT. I think there are, there's a lot of shaders presets on there, but I'm not sure if there's anything like exactly like this. I could be out of date there too. But something that simulates it on this level. I got a feeling that there is, because the community around the Mystery is amazing, right? So, yeah, it looks like a real way to play and enjoy this, you know. And eventually I'm going to run this on, again, my CRT, but I would be more than happy to play this on my 4x3 Dell Ultra Sharp, you know, good 4x3 flat panel. Let's see, it was Native Display Shader, PC. So whatever you want to do with that. We can switch to another one too. Let's see what TV is. Ooh, that is a lot blurrier, but it definitely looks more... This is what it looked like to me, because my friend across the street, he had a little, like, 12 or 13-inch CRT, right? We had SCART, fortunately, but I made it look pretty good. SCART in Europe, right? So that was the benefit there. But it was just a tiny CRT he had on his desk, and that's how we played all of this, you know? There was no awesome over-the-top. Check out some of these other ones. So light, okay. This is more like soft, whatever. It's got some pixelation effects. It's also got some glow, too. That's a nice compromise, without putting in the extra that you get from the PC one that added a little more, like you feel like the curvature on there. And then we have the 1084, which is the premier Amiga monitor. So this would be more... Look, it's just... That's really cool with the glow and everything. And then, let's see, we have some of these. I'm not sure what these do. Easy mode halation. Looks like it just adds a little pixel grid and everything. Nice one. Easy mode. Very similar. It adds almost like, yeah, it looks, I mean, really nice. Point being is you've gotten a lot further than just a typical put a line over each mode, right? It's just Z-Fast CRT. This one is just a little light in the look and everything, but it still evens it out a lot to make it look more interesting. Then if we go back to... I honestly like the light one quite a bit there, but... Still get a bit of that glow. While still keeping most of the colors intact. But now we already gotten used to that PC one, so let's switch back to that one, because it is... It's got a phosphorus glow after effect that's just... Grrr. Nothing like using a computer from the 2020s to run a computer from the 1980s and then asking it to do a whole bunch of other stuff. Yeah, it is a fantastic way to experience Monkey Island. There's a lot of, like, you know, amazing point-and-click adventure games. We'll go action. This is the Hall of Fame. We can also instead just go to all the games. There are thousands of games on the Amiga, and if you want to just start exploring and looking, I guess we have to do this game because, yep, I sure did. I actually just bought a MIDI cable adapter so I can hook up my real Amiga 1200 to MT32. However, support is extremely limited. Only really some Sierra games supported it, which is kind of what you expect from that era. So there was no widespread support for MT32, maybe besides, composing for it. But for games, mostly just Sierra titles, honestly. Listen to music. There's a reason Amiga has such a huge following, and everyone comes back to it, because it's just, what a system. Future Bike Simulator. So yeah, what you can use, what's really cool on this one is called I Feel Lucky, and it'll pick a random game for you, which I think is honestly, you know what, sometimes just booting up something like this, grabbing an adult beverage, and turning on I Feel Lucky is a great way to spend an evening. It's just really relaxing just to randomize games, and we'll probably honestly do that sometime too, where we just stream random games. I know we've done a lot of setup tonight, but sometimes I just want to dive into the library, but we have to run this because everyone benchmarks their Amiga with this intro. Because this is full, 3D rendering, and that's something that was very difficult to run on the native base Amiga. Goodness. The stock Amiga 500 struggled immensely with this. It runs super slow, but an accelerated Amiga, this is where you test it out. It's the benchmark utility. Everyone runs it. And it looks really good with that shader. When I got back into the Amiga, and I picked up an Amiga 500 years ago now, I have the box right behind me here. Amiga 500, which is basics, accessories and stuff. And I booted up Frontier Elite again. And I thought, like, surely there's something wrong with the Amiga, right? It runs so excruciatingly slow. Something's wrong. I kept Googling and looking around or whatever, but then I found a video of someone running on a stock A500. Nope, it runs at like 7 FPS and best mid-teens. It is excruciatingly slow. So that's the first thing everyone does that accelerates their Amiga is to run they run the Sysmark Sysinfo to get the red bar, and then they run this to showcase how smooth it runs. And this is, makes it playable. Makes it run like on the PC. And that's the thing, that showcases also how quickly the PC outpaced the Amiga when you got into the 90s, right? This came out for the Amiga, but playing us on a stock 500 was painful. Playing on an accelerator on a 1200, doable. But you play that on a 46, like a 50 or 66 megahertz, and it was night and day. Like, super smooth by comparison, right? And that shows you at that point already the Amiga had been outpaced dramatically, so. And I get obsessed with this kind of stuff now, because not only that we now have a mini PC that's, bare metal running the stuff as low as possible. There's no overhead really besides the very basic Linux installation. But I still want to get, like, what I would love to do is 3D print, like, a wedge computer thing and put a mister in there. I know people have done that. That would be an awesome way to do it. And I also would like to get one of the Raspberry Pi 4 or 500s. I actually talking with someone else earlier today about that. They're so pricey, but it'd be awesome to have that as a standalone Amiga emulation system as well. Because there's so many options, right? But the appeal of having a small box that's for this purpose only, powered on, go right into Amiga usage, it is really appealing, so. But I do want to also possibly check out Amiga on this, because it gives you a full, almost modern interpretation of Amiga with compatibility of all the games, all the emulation. It still runs Amiberry on the back end, which is what we're running here, so. Focuses a lot on accuracy, to my knowledge. Man, that glow from that's really cool. Yeah, I mean, if you think about what you do on a day-to-day basis, it's mostly just online things or web browsing, you know, running some light applications, stuff like that. Boy, you can do a lot with that. But yeah, I am prepping for my main rig that's sitting right over here. Has Windows 11 on it. I am prepping to run Bazzite on that as well. I know that may not be the best desktop software, but I've used it on many machines at home here now, and I really enjoy using Bazzite. So I'm going to try and load that on there too. Okay, now we never play that game again. That's what it's for. Look, Frogger on the Amiga. The late pool port. Yeah, the problem with this is that there's so many games, and how do you find what you want to play? But we can try that. I'm feeling lucky. It will launch a random game now. Let's see what we get. Who knows? Pretty fine if we get Frontier Elite. Oil Volume 3. Ooh, look at that MT32 sound option. Which you can, of course, emulate as well, so... So, look at that glow, the afterglow of the phosphor is pretty cool. White is really strong. Well, yeah, it's Sierra, that's why it's supported, so... I believe it. That's the thing, is like, yeah, I think so. That's a lot of the Sierra titles. Think about the Sierra, they launched theirs on every platform they could. Oh my goodness. Like, they are on PC, Mac, Amiga, Atari ST, like everything. Ported to everything they could. Executive producer Ken Williams. I know that name. Yeah. Gonna freeze or?
Please select a game.
Snakes and ladders.
Snakes and ladders.
Wow, it even said it. Fancy. Loading times are not good, but who knows? Like, it maybe just how slow this game was, or there's something to do with the platform specifically, or maybe they're not very efficient memory handling. Not all ports were great, right? That's the problem. Of all the random, how many real kids? Who'd I want to be? Sure. Oh, I guess it already picked for me. Wow. It's not fast. Question is, when they ported, how natively did they write the application or software to run with, yeah, I literally played this with my daughter earlier today, so. Did it! Whee! Okay, do I gotta click to move to? Wow, that's brutally slow. Okay, so the first, I'm feeling lucky. It was not such a lucky. Let's try another. I'm feeling lucky. Let's see what we get now. Seven Gates of Jambala, 1989. I do not know what that game is, but that's part of the fun, right? I think, honestly, I would love to do streams like this too, random. When there is a randomizer that lets you pick a random game, it's a great way to just, you know what, we're just going to see what we get. You know, good question. I think it does, but maybe not. Whoops, I think, oh, there we go. I don't know that it has it built in. Inflation, gold. Yeah, I don't know that it has it built in. I could be wrong here, that maybe there's a extra option for it somewhere. Since the Amiga used the MT32 so little, I don't know if that's something they would focus on, right? Because it's... oh. Cool effect. Since there's so few games that use it, it would be a lot of coding effort for very little gain. Versus on the PC, right? There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of titles that support the MT32. But on the Amiga, very little. The sweat? Soda? Yeah, the shader really adds a lot. It's honestly really good. Is that the game or the brand, the main developer? It's interesting, I was watching something about the Amiga, and it became an arms race to have the coolest intro screen. And often you'd have the entire intro on a single floppy, and the game was on a second floppy. It was a big deal to have a good intro screen. Everyone loves that, so... It was like a puzzler or platformer. There was a lot of platformers on Amiga. I feel like this was a C64 game to start, maybe. It was ported and upgraded, because the music is very C64-y. Yeah, it looks good on just my regular old... Ha ha ha! Okay! Good game. Can I do anything here, or is it just... Those spells. There's a problem, but what they did pretty cool in Amiga Vision is there's a QR code to scan to get an online manual. Well, the music is good. I'm just not going to make it past level 1. Oh, you have to run. Okay. Oh no, bunny! Yep, the bunny made me take damage. Something to level select or something. We take, like, good platform for granted, but my goodness, Mario really just, like, nailed momentum and platforming. Can I use the key? No. Ah. Wow. Sweet game. There's a lot of games like this, too. Not knocking on the efforts here, but it is... The music is a little too epic for what this is, but I got a lot of keys now. Oh. I knocked on the door and I went into level 4 now, apparently. That's extremely C64 music. Yeah, I got some magical mojo now. Tickle them with fair. That monster looks like horribly disproportionate for what we're doing here. Let me out! What? I don't have 30 gold. Sorry, weird troll. Animations are cool, but it's kind of a bizarre game. All Mario vibes with those pipes, then they're like horrible, like whatever the horror was we saw there. Jeez. Alright, Mike Boy, thanks for stopping by. Have a good one. It's cool, but there's a lot of platform games like this on the Amiga where it's just like, yeah, it's alright, but... You remember the days, too, when you would buy the one game, right? And that was what you had, so... You have to enjoy it. Ugh. Weird. Gold. Controls are rough. It's called like a, you know, there's a lot of common things where people call it Eurojank or Euro platformer on the Amiga because they all control a little weird. They often have, you know, very large sprites. Actually, I think there's a section here for Roll MT32. Yeah, so here's like the entire list of MT32 games. Which you can see is not that many, and mostly Sierra games, if not all Sierra games. Base Quest, Quest for Glory, Police Quest. Leisure Suit Larry and King's Quest. A lot of King's Quest. Actually, they're just different languages. So yeah, not a lot to pick from there. I want to try this sometime too. I want to set up to Amiga, so I think you can use emulated Amigas as well when you're doing serial link stuff. So yeah, I'm feeling lucky again. Let's see what we get this time. There's just so many games. Curse of Ra. I've heard of that one. Oh, same developer as Turkin. Rainbow Arts. Copy protection. So, sure. Yep, I got it right. First try. Must be a puzzle game, right? Sure is. Oops. Don't know what they're doing here. Cool. Probably a way to do this that I don't know how to do. Like not fall off things. Okay then. Maybe we should take another whack and see if we figure out why it's not. Also, we have exit to workbench. We can go back in here and do applications, and we have music player and everything. Copyright. Cool music here and everything. Then we can preemptively multitask by opening additional applications because this is Amiga, baby. And do additional things at the same time. Well, other systems back in the day had multitasking on this level. It just automatically handles it too, which is pretty slick. I want to speed info again, or sysinfo. $68,060. So, maximum power. Amos is a game development sysinfo. That. Ooh. In this case, I'm not sure we're getting the full speed here and everything. There we go. That's. Oh. So the emulation, I think, is focusing more on see what the speed is. 68,060. Approximate cycle accurate is trying to make that, but if we do fast as possible, we'll probably pull in a lot more speed. Well, curious if we go to fast as possible and then reload configuration and start again and see what we're getting now in sysinfo. Now we're the fastest possible versus trying to be cycle accurate. I guess it exit the shader now, but go back to that in a second here. I was trying to do as fast as the CPU can run, right? And that it's problematic because in a sense you don't get cycle. Maybe I'm not sure if it's going to reflect or not. Guess not. It doesn't really matter apparently, but instead of using the it is. Thought I had to rerun the restart the emulator, but maybe not. Or I have to save the config or whatever. I just want to see that red bar being really big. So let's, we got to figure this out. So cold reset emulated Amiga. So it's going to be with that spec now. So stuff might not run correctly when you're boosting it to that level, right? That's the problem. In fact, you might run into compatibility problems and everything. So it tries instead to focus on accuracy so that everything runs correctly. So I'm not sure if I'm doing it right, but in this case, I'm trying to run as fast as possible. Nah, it likes that. So view speed. Yeah, we can set it to, okay, so we have it running at about 14 megahertz, but we set it to 16. That is 56 megahertz. Yeah, there's a lot of options. The question is what you get out of it, because as long as it runs everything at the speeds you want, then it kind of becomes moot. Besides just bragging rights, of course, we're running in a this is not a real CPU in the first place, so but it's fun to mess with, especially seeing certain things. Especially that Amiga Vision has been tuned to be the best it possibly can be. So yeah, we're past 68040. You'd think that would be even faster, but sample exact CPU emulation speed 15 times. Yeah, but it might be that I don't have the right settings or anything like that. You can probably go even higher, whatever you want to do. Yeah, I think it's just a specific thing for specific software, but yeah, we can go back to this. I do want to have the filter on. Did like that filter quite a bit, so. Yeah, this thing. Now you got this going. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's a matter of compatibility and max power. Like we know, and in many cases, like if you just cram extra resource into something, doesn't always mean that it's gonna want to work well. So let's see if we can save this configuration now. Save it. Can we do reboot it again? Running. We're gonna quit out of the emulation. Reboot and see if it's plenty of performance. That's the thing. We have so. Here comes that freaking audio again. Does not like that. There's some teething pains here to get through. I'd be really curious to see what's causing it to not boot into the correct Amiberry on launch there. Why it's not working. Or if we just broke it completely now. Nope. Coming up. Or if we can quiet the boot up information here or hide it. Or if there's an option to that. So it launches it, you see the shaders there, and it crashes. So it has launched the software. Well, I'm not sure if we just are in a hard freeze state here. Maybe it just needs more time. Oh, it was promising until we broke it. That's the kicker, right? When you're running with emulated hardware too, it's just there's a lot of things that you might not run into with real hardware, and then vice versa, right? So I'm getting no input from the. I think it's like a hard frozen. Boot it again from scratch. See, the only thing was we saved the setting to keep the filter on. Didn't change anything else with the hardware configuration there, so it could be something simple as something weird with my inputs, or whatever I'm using. So maybe I'll try and do this again with minimal things attached, meaning just a basic CRT or a basic basic regular flat panel attached with no extra things or whatever it could be. Yeah, now we're getting a hard freeze every time. Probably not a good thing. Trying to replug some things here. Yeah, so it locked up my keyboard and everything, so then I could get into it. So it is weird why it doesn't want to play nice with the configuration here, because it is a default one. All the settings are correct, so I'm not sure if it's not able to read that file or something on boot up. Keyboard. Bit perfect emulation. So yeah, we have very accurate and everything here. Faster but less accurate. Yeah. Got a lot more options that we're not messing with. The idea being is this is just boot up and you're done. We just cold reset. That'll work. Now it has to do a reload of the configuration. So something on boot up here is not correct until it reloads the configuration. So it's not able to load the full configuration somehow. Something's been locked out. Maybe it's one of the paths or something with the data. I'm not sure that the default is that it should go into the MNT diet pi user data. It could be, here's a thought actually. Is it going to be wonky again? So to replug it, so I'm not sure what it is, but so we are launching and logging with root, but the user is running us diet pi. So that's a thought. So we're launching and logging in as root, but the emulator is running in the MNT data pi users directory. So, or a diet pi. So there might be something with that. Maybe it doesn't like that you're crossing the as a thought. I think the diet pi user as well is just the root user as well. So it should be the same. Okay, so it did not auto start then. Because we set that to the other user. So, and now I control. That's something to do with the not liking my I have a USB to PS2 switcher, so ooh, fast boot or standard boot. Try those two different ones and see what happens there too. iPi, okay. That was not installed for this user. So maybe we're making a big pain out of this just by signing it automatically as the DietPi user, but maybe go away from root, see if we have any better success that way. I don't know if that's going to do anything or if the configuration now has to be redone, but it's just worth a try. Maybe the last thing we tinker with here, but ideally we'll be able to go back again and just launch it directly in, right? So doing stuff, sure. And a very standard boot. Yeah, that's already set there. Okay, reboot again. Let's see what we get now. It can't reboot. I don't have the control delete then. Maybe reboot is not part of the Diet Pie users, I don't know, environment files. I don't know how that works on Linux though. Oh, now I have to um, authenticate as root anyway to do it, and then it still crashes like that. Interesting. So let's drop that. Then it goes haywire. I think it has to do with the resolution switching, honestly. It just doesn't like that for some reason. But I do want to, let's do diet pie config. I'm going to try one more thing. So auto log on with root, and I'm going to do a Amiberry fast boot. Highly optimistic tweak boot mode. Why not? OpenTyrian. You can boot right into OpenTyrian. It's an oddly specific setup. We're booting Amiberry incredibly fast now, supposedly, which should get us even faster into the emulation, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't really matter, so. But it might be as simple as that it's just the display is just not playing nice. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but it might be the capture, the fact that it can't detect my screen properly between hmm, okay, not what I wanted, but boot automatic log on. I don't know why it's not doing it now, but it's one step forward, two step backward. Why not? Might make it more difficult for ourselves too, but that's the thing is when you're messing with things like Linux and stuff like this, if it doesn't have everything explicitly configured, it may not be working. Versus like you might be expecting, okay, why is it not auto logging anymore now? Now the thing froze again. My goodness, not liking this at all. It's not having a good time there. I'm trying to see if I can hard plug it directly into, excuse me. The KVM has a USB and it has a PS2 and one for mouse, one for keyboard. And normally you use a PS2 adapter or USB to PS2, but I was thinking I could plug in a USB directly. Apparently it does not like that. So this might all be resolved by just using a friggin' bog standard um, okay, all the what's going on here? All the configuration now. So we had it going pretty good. Apparently it doesn't like the fast start, maybe. But why is it not doing auto log on anymore? Desktops? I don't think we don't have a desktop going. So back to standard boot. Going backwards now, so maybe we'll call it here soon. But it's just analyzing close to be all done, and it should work better. But it might just be because of the keyboard and all the stuff. The wonkiness with it. So I might try and unplug the KVM from it and see if that helps. It's just that's causing the problem, the whole thing. So it auto booted normal there. It did not like the fast boot. So back to the same problem. But I did not like the, I did not pull the configuration for the Diet Pi user. Don't know what it is with the resolution and everything. It really doesn't like it. So, no, I was just curious to try it and mess with it. So I can change it to use like, let's see, is the, well, it's not the capture because I see both the capture and my monitors. It's almost like my HDMI splitter is just not playing nice or liking it. So, and it might be because Linux is trying to um, detect or configure, like, auto detect the screen, and that's what's causing it to just go wonky. Right? That could be the issue. So if it's trying to be too smart and detect it, um, but let's just go the wrong directory. Root. Yeah, so tantalizingly close, but not quite. Um, I'm sure anyone who's watching this after the fact, especially the Amiga Vision people, if they're watching this afterwards, I apologize for butchering your lovely software bundle. And if I'm doing something obvious, let me know that I'm not doing correctly. Again, I'm not sure if there's something with the configuration of the Pi, not the Pi, if it's something with the configuration of the um, application, whatever it is, but then clearly reloading it and then starting it works just fine. So something feels like it's not reading the configuration files correctly, or, you know, it works every time here. So I saved it, so it has the correct configuration and everything. So something doesn't feel quite right. I'm missing something obvious, so yeah, I'm not going to try it tonight, but I probably will try a couple things, such as unplugging all the special adapters I have plugged in. It could be that the mini PC doesn't like it. You know, maybe something I missed with BIOS. Maybe it's not getting enough juice. I don't know. It's not a powerful system, so it might not like the PS2 adapter doohickey I have plugged in. You know, maybe it doesn't like the HDMI splitter. Something like that. It's causing issues. So I have the mouse now, but if I do, Plugging in only a keyboard that doesn't want to connect. Detected. I was just a super cheapo, like, USB keyboard, but it's not being found. I might be going off the reservation as it were now, which is messing around. But I was just curious to see if it were anything to do with the PS2 doohickey thing I have hooked up here, because I mean, it's trying to connect and emulate. Theory it should be just be accurate, but it means that it's connected to the KVM, and that could be causing some issues possibly still. But it is running in the background. Interesting. So it's got to be something with the resolution or the signal. Because what happens now is that I see the capture basically says no signal. So it is not negotiating the video. Yep, no signal at all is what it says. HDMI. Give it a splitter, honestly, too, because it just sounds like it's auto booting, like, because they'll have the music now. Yeah, resume there. You saw it pop up real quick. That's why it's reloading. Maybe the resolution then is... Yeah. It might be something with the video mode. Again, I'm not sure if that's because of the, capture setup, the splitter, or something like that. So probably try again, offline to set it up with this most basic setting possible, with meaning that it's just a simple USB keyboard, simple HDMI monitor, and then see what it does, what happens. Like, does it work? Does it do anything? And see if there's any difference, because that might be the trick then, maybe. So, what I could try actually is to hook up the direct without doing a splitter. So let's try one last thing here before we call it. So right now, I'm not splitting it. It goes directly into the capture. So that's what you're seeing. I'm seeing. So, quit now. Reboot. It's just direct output from the mini PC directly to capture. You can see there's more. Maybe it is the freaking splitter that's the problem. Can't handle the quick resolution switching. Or whatever Linux is sending it. Maybe it's just too raw with this information. So, okay, now we get right here. Okay, down, go away. So why is that not? Got to be something. I'm trying to remove variables here now. So just taking out the splitter, it's just capture. Get the lovely green blinking screen again, which has been on for a while now. So we have some BIOS problems. Could be maybe there's a BIOS update. We haven't dug into those things yet, so we're not going to do that right now. But why is it not decided to? No, I'm not going to auto boot anymore. Not up either. That's weird. Maybe it doesn't like different resolutions. 1080p or something like that. Who knows? But I'm not sure why the auto start decided to break now all of a sudden too. Logging in automatically, but why is not Amiberry's standard boot work? Try the fast boot. Maybe the reboot command doesn't work. I have to use Control Delete. Maybe that's a harder reboot. I'm not sure. Maybe it is just a. Not sure. Meanwhile, enjoy this green blinking screen again. It is fast though. Seems to get through the thing or boot up process quite quick. Nope, then it just breaks the login. Was Amiberry Light? Don't have that, I guess. Yeah, it's weird. It's getting worse. Doing a hard turn off there. Do a full cold boot and see. And we get the blinky. That is so annoying. But I'm not sure if it's a negotiation thing. But I'm not sure what of me unplugging an HDMI splitter causes it to go break the auto boot. No sense at all. Okay, they booted that time. So yeah, it's the splitter. That's the problem. It's a freaking splitter. It must be sending an EDID signal or something like that that's causing it to go all wonky, like it can't negotiate or something. At least I know the machine itself works. So that's good. Right? Now, if we could suppress some of the boot up messages, that'd be even better. But otherwise, it is pretty good from a cold boot then. We go to 12 and we quit. Gonna check if there was anything about the boot. Advanced option. And there goes the audio again. Performance off. In here. I was curious if there's anything to do configuration. Services, display. Start times of cron jobs. Banner. Nope, nothing around that. But yeah, let's do a cold boot here now and see how long it takes to get into Amiga emulation then. So it's off. Power button now. Say for 15, 20 seconds. It's pretty good. We can figure out some of the warnings and errors and maybe tune down or clean that up too. Side Pi, of course, the whole point is that it runs super streamlined, so might be more to do. Yeah, so I mean, that's what, 15 seconds or so into Amiga. So that's pretty acceptable, even though that the Amiga systems themselves run everything in ROM, so that can boot up much faster into ROM and the, pretty speedy hard drive. So still, I'm not going to complain too much. I guess I'll have to see if I can figure out something with the capture thing. This is still doable, but I think we got there in the end. So in theory, now we accomplished what we set out to do, even though it took a few side roads to get there. We got Diet Pie loaded up quick and easy. That was very easy. We got Amiga installed, also easy. Set it to auto boot Amiga, also quite easy. But then we ran into problems copying the Amiga Vision files over, which I guess is more my inexperience with Linux more than anything. We got there in the end, and now we have then a pretty turnkey plug-in and play Amiga games. So I'm not going to keep that sitting here for emulation purpose or anything. I am planning on moving that somewhere else and have it for something else with the CRT, like I said. So more for enjoyment here. Playing Amiga games, probably do it on Mr. or real hardware. So, but cool to have the option. I love emulation and all the things that it affords you. So if you haven't messed with Amiga, go ahead, emulate it, enjoy it. It's an awesome platform. So, anyway, thanks everyone for hanging out and kind of going through the snaky path that got us here in the end. I appreciate it. And we'll see everyone next week again for something else. Think whatever else random thing I can come up with, I suppose. So otherwise, I'll catch everyone online and have a good weekend and a good week. See you next time. Good night.